Hi, everyone. I'm here with Dr. Jake Covert. Thanks for being here, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So, we're going to talk about protein. I'm a big protein powder guy. I use plant protein, I use whey protein, I use beef isolate, grass fed protein. And so, there is a difference. And so, let's talk about, I'll tell you guys about the plant protein I use. And it's, in my opinion, it's just as good as some of the whey proteins and the other proteins. But I'm going to tell you why, and something that you have to make sure you're looking for from my perspective. But what are your first thoughts on, because you have a lot of patients, and I mean, you're a certified personal trainer as well as a chiropractor, and Jake is in the Parkway Athletic Club in South Reno. So what are your first thoughts on the different types of protein?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, you have your plant versus animal protein, and there's been a lot of research that's been done on that. And at the end of the day, as long as you hit your protein, they've kind of shown that it really doesn't matter. There's very similar effects on both. Now, there are not all plant proteins are made the same because a
Correct.
lot of them are not complete proteins. There's a lot of different processing that they'll essentially do in those powders. So selecting the correct plant protein is going to be crucial because animal protein is very easy. It's digested easily. It's a very high quality protein. It has all essential amino acids. So it's just a very quality protein. So if you do want to lean towards a plant-based protein, it's really important to, number one, make sure that it's a complete protein because you need to make sure that it is a complete protein. So I would say one of my recommendations for a plant protein, I do tend to like the soy isolates. Those tend to be a little bit of the better amino acid profiles. And because you also have to keep in mind, to get a proper amount of protein with a plant protein, you're going to be consuming a lot of carbohydrates with it as well. So it's going to drive up the calorie intake with it. So getting a nice isolate's always really helpful because it's going to mitigate some of those carbs a little bit. Because at the end of the day, if you are trying to lose weight, gain muscle, what have you, energy balance or the amount of calories that you're consuming is going to be vital for that. But picking a complete protein, so like I said, the soy protein isolates are actually a complete protein, most of them that are on the market. So that's a very critical piece when choosing a plant.
But I don't like the soy because of the testosterone issue.
Yeah, there is a lot of controversy with that, and no, I totally agree. And then there are options. There's a lot of like quinoa based and buckwheat based ones as well that are really good, complete proteins as well. So those are always alternative options as well.
So here's what I've noticed. First of all, if the plant protein lists the amino acid profile, you can look at it and they'll put them in order of which one is the most. So it's just they cost more. Why do they cost more? Because protein is not in plants, right? So it takes a lot more plants. It takes a lot more peas. It takes a lot more of those ingredients to bring the protein up to a higher level. But there are some, I should have brought them. I didn't. I didn't bring them with me, the brands. But you can just do a search on the internet and make sure that you see the amino acid profile. So you want to have leucine, 2-to-1, isoleucine, and valine next. So 2-to-1 over those, and make sure it has all the essential amino acids. Because what they can do with these protein drinks, like the drinks that you grab out of, at the grocery store, that's just a chocolate protein drink that you shake up and you drink, is they can load it up with the cheapest amino acids and say that it's 20 grams of protein when you're not really going to get the benefit of 20 grams of protein because they just put some cheap amino acids in there. So what I do when I'm doing my whey protein and my plant protein, now I can tell you what brand I use. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't think I have a code or anything there, but it's True Nutrition, and you can custom make your protein. You can do plant-based, egg protein, egg white, beef isolate, whey. It's really cool. So you can custom make it, and then you can spike it with amino acids or whatever. So look them up, True Protein. I love that brand because it's high quality and you get to custom make your own protein. And put some of your own additives into it. But the other thing I always do, even if it's plant protein, but even if it's whey protein, which is high in leucine, I always spike it with leucine. I always spike it with about 3 grams of protein because, 3 grams of leucine, because that's the trigger that helps you process the protein. So I always spike my protein powder with about 3 grams of leucine. And then I also take other essential amino acids. I take some branched chain aminos and some essential amino acids with that protein because I want to make sure my body has everything it wants. I want to make sure it has all the essential amino acids that it wants to make whatever protein chain it wants to make. So that's something that I do. A lot of people say, oh, you're wasting your money. It's overkill. Maybe, but it's an insurance policy to me. What do you think about that?
No, I totally agree, and it's an insurance policy. It's just like taking your BCAs essentially. It's if you're eating a complete diet with all of your macro and micronutrients, you technically don't need BCAs because your body has everything that it needs. However, it is a good insurance policy because there's a lot of different factors when you can even look at like the digestion and the absorption of different individual ingredients that you have. So like with plants, for example, if you are eating more of a plant-based diet, your digestion and absorption is going to be less than that of an animal-based, simply because there's a lot more fiber and a lot of other of micronutrients essentially inside the plant that's going to slow digestion and actually cause you to potentially even digest less of the thing that you're consuming. So that's the one that is a benefit I would say of an animal protein is the digestibility is very, very enhanced in terms of like if you get like an egg protein, like you mentioned, we're talking like 98, 99% digestibility with that. So it's very easy for your body to process. Whereas plant protein, your body's got to break it down a little bit. It's got to sift through a lot of that fiber. So it's a little bit more challenging. So that's another big aspect to consider with that.
Right. And if you have issues with dairy, a whey isolate usually will eliminate that problem. Now, the plant proteins are going to cost more. And if it doesn't cost more, I'd be very suspicious of it because it's not going to have all the essential amino acids in the right proportion. And that's really, really important. So now, if you're going to just take branched chain aminos by themselves, you're probably wasting your money because your body can't do anything with just branched chain aminos. It needs all the other amino acids to make protein chains. But what I'm doing is I'm including more essential amino acids with my protein. And in the morning, I always do a couple scoops of amino acids. I'm taking 20 people think I'm nuts, but I'm taking about 20, 22 grams of just amino acids every morning. And that's leucine, that's the branched chain amino acids and all the essential amino acids all together. So my body can take those, they're free form, and then just put the proteins together depending on what my body wants. And it works great for me. I've been doing it since I was in college, which was almost half a century ago.
No, and there's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, I mean, there's really not going to be any detrimental effects for that. Like you said, it's an insurance policy, so why not? And the one thing I did want to go back to that you brought up is dairy intolerance. That is a very, very common issue that I see with a lot of my patients. And just kind of a random little side note, but I don't know if you've ever tried it before, but Fairlife milk. That is hands down my favorite milk or dairy product out there. Now, it's triple filtered, so there actually is no lactose in it. And they do include like a lactase enzyme. So all of my patients that are lactose intolerant can handle that very well. Talk about a protein shake. That milk is unbelievable macros. We're talking for a cup of milk, you're looking at like 13 grams of protein and 6 grams of carbs with little to no sugar. And so it's unbelievable milk. So if I do have a protein shake, I do love to mix it with that because it's a nice little another 13-gram boost essentially. Whereas just your classic milk, you're looking at quite a bit of carbs and not too much benefit with the protein.
Yeah. And also, that is high in leucine. Dairy is
Mhm.
high in leucine, like Greek yogurt is high in leucine, and leucine is the key. And so that's why I spike all my protein with leucine. And when I eat a meal, I'm taking all the essential amino acids, heavy on the leucine, maybe before and after that meal, so that I make sure. And isn't it true, the older you are, the more your body really needs help with processing or synthesizing that protein?
Yeah, your muscle protein synthesis slows down essentially as you get older. So you actually need to consume more protein the older that you get because you need to start to compensate for that. So the older you get, you need to keep lifting and you need to eat more protein to accommodate for that because everything's about maintaining as much muscle mass as possible as you get older. Everything comes down to the muscle mass.
Okay, so if you guys have questions about this, I'll make sure the doc sees them. Maybe I can answer them. And just put your questions in the comment section. And Jake, so if people want to follow you online, they want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you?
You can go to my website at atlaschiropractic.us, and then you can also email me at info@atlaschiropractic.us.
Okay, everybody, hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification button so you can see next time we have a video. Thanks for being here, Doc.
Thanks for having me.